Hey everyone, welcome to Founders 365 with me, Stephen Haggerty. Today I'm joined by human behavior specialist, Richard Flint. How are you today, Richard?
I am very well. And how's Stephen today?
Stephen is very well indeed. Although I kind of would prefer to have the weather that you have right now over in America, but hey ho.
Well, I'd be happy to share it with you if you were here.
Just bottle some up and post it over, and we'll be good. But Richard, listen, you're a master of human behavior, amongst other things. But can you just give the listeners and the audience an overview of sort of your career and how you got to the stage that you're at now?
Well, Stephen, it's been a very interesting journey because if you would have told me basically 35 years ago that I'd be doing what I'm doing today, I would have just smiled and laughed at you. Because I went to college and was going to be a lawyer and decided I didn't want to follow that path. So I switched to education. And when I was doing my practice teaching, I had a high school senior English class and decided I didn't want to spend my life with these people. So I went on to grad school and got a couple of degrees there and then wound up teaching at the university level. And then they told me I was making too much money and wanted to give part of my salary back to the university. So I told them, you can have the whole salary. So I left there and I ended up on the staff of First Baptist Church in West Palm Beach, Florida, where I ran the counseling division for the church. And 4 years on that church staff, the church went through its own internal struggles. Churches will never be immune from their own set of struggles as long as they have humans in it. Mm-hmm. Left there, ran a private counseling center for a couple of years and wrote some magazine articles that got attention and started getting requests from people to come share my research with them. And I did that on a limited basis for a year and a half and finally decided this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And that was 33 years ago. And since that time, Stephen, I have traveled this globe from one end to the other, talking to people about behavior. Because the essence of every truth in life can be based in 3 words. Behavior never lies. Mm-hmm. The essence of truth of any human is not what they say. I would imagine you've had people in your life who have told you one thing and did something else.
Of course.
And then it creates confusion. It's about respect. It's about trust. And so the essence of truth is behavior, because behavior cannot lie. And I spend my life every day writing, researching, delivering, doing things, helping people to understand how to have a life that they're here on earth to have. I think we're here for 3 things: to be happy. Mm-hmm. And I love your smile. I just absolutely love your smile. I think we're here to be fulfilled, that there's a stage for all of us. Yeah. You're on your stage. Everybody has a stage. And then we're here to be free. The number 3 law for my life is, why spend my energy being a carbon copy when I'm the original?
Oh, I love that.
I am me, and I love being me.
Love that. For you, over the last 35 years of really focusing on the human behavior side of things, if we bring that timeline forward to more recent years, past couple of years, or even actually, let's just talk about this year in general, 2020 in general. I think has been such a disruptive year for human behavior. How have you seen it from your point of view, standing from that research, that really looking at it from that scientific standpoint?
Well, Stephen, one of the things that I've grown to understand is that as much as people try to blame or justify or excuse who they are, what they do, and what they're doing, you can't do it. Mm-hmm. Because we are the essence of the choices that we make. And we make a choice every day to live our life in one of 2 directions. I think that Stephen's life, my life, the life of everybody who's watching this, is based in one of 2 foundations. We either get up every day and the choices that we make, and every choice creates a decision. Every decision creates a path. Every path has behavior. So I get up in the morning and I get to make one of two choices. I'm going to live today basing my life in my belief, my trust, and my faith, or I'm going to base my life in my doubt, my worry, and my uncertainty.
Mm.
And what I have found because I take on basically 5 to 7 people a year, and I'm their mentor, not their coach. I don't coach people. I have a challenge with what we call coaching today. But I am a mentor to their life.
Yeah.
And I take these lives, and the first thing we've got to determine, what are you building your life on? Do you believe in yourself? Do you trust yourself? Do you have the faith in yourself? And I know when that's happening, because if Stephen believes in himself, he has calmness to his life. If Stephen trusts himself, he has clarity in his life. If Stephen has faith in himself, then he has the confidence to live his dream. But if I turn it over and Richard bases his life in doubt, then I live with skepticism.
Mm.
If I worry, man, my life is going to be filled with anxiety. And if I'm uncertain, I'm going to procrastinate with everything I need to do.
Definitely.
And if you just take that foundation of one of those two and you look at people, Stephen, you can understand a person, because everybody bases their life in one of two foundations.
For those people, Richard, those people versus, how easy is it, do you think, for them to make the switch to the more positive one? Is it just a conscious thought? They need to wake up and they consciously think, right, today I'm going to have confidence in myself.
No, it's a challenge, because what we're asking people to do is to redefine their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the first things you got to do is you've got to be honest with yourself about which one is which. One of the things I learned in the counseling center, and it was like an aha to me, but I've watched it day in and day out. Most people want honesty as long as it's not honest. And people would come to me and they'd want me to help them with their problems. First of all, I don't believe in problems. I think a problem is a situation or an event that a human chooses. Your life is a choice. Mm-hmm. Chooses to hang on to, so they have the excuse, the reason, and the justification to back up what they're doing. They don't want to be held accountable. They don't want honesty. They're just looking for agreement. Yeah. I tell people all the time, if you want to know what you think about yourself, take a look at the 5 closest people to your life that you're not related to. Look at them, because they're you. And for some people, that should scare the living daylights out of them. And Stephen, I mean, I could talk all day to you about this.
That's why you're here, Richard.
Yeah. But it's just that we put more emphasis on what people say than what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
We live in a world where most people are a contradiction.
A walking contradiction.
Yeah. So if someone comes to you and says one thing and does another, and it's consistent, do you respect them?
No.
Do you trust them?
Very little. Very little. And no, to be honest, for those sort of people, it would probably not take much for me to not even give them time of the day.
So you're dealing with my number 3 law in my life. Never keep anyone in your life who's not part of your fan club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's a danger to that, right? There's a danger to surrounding yourself with your fans. Because I think if you surround yourself with your fans all the time, does the ego then creep in and you almost become this like self-fulfilling prophecy of your own life?
No, because a fan is someone who won't let you get to that point.
Got you.
Because a fan is a partner in your life. And, I have 3 people in my life that I'm close to. And most of us don't have a lot of people that we're really close to.
Yeah.
But the people that you're close to, what they do is they challenge you.
Mm-hmm.
And if my ego gets too big, which can happen if I live in a world where it's all about me, but the people that are close to you won't let you get there.
Yeah, they're going to pull you down.
Yeah, well, they're
But
going
in a good way.
Yeah, they're going to bring you back to the reality of life.
Yeah. Yeah. How do people know whether they're surrounded by the good fans, like those 3 people that you have around you, and that will bring you back down to the good part of reality, versus the ones that are not going to do that, the ones that are going to maybe let you go that one step too far?
Well, I think that those people that are going to do that to you are going to always approach you with the honesty that you need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Stephen, I want 3 things for my life. And as if I can keep these at the center, I'm not going to get my life out of control.
Yeah.
I want to be better. I don't want to be the best. If you become the best, you become a historical relic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all these statues they're tearing down here in the United States, which is just a lot of stupidity. But I want to be better. And to do that, I got to look at my life from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be smarter. I want to every day gain knowledge. And this is one of the things that concerns me about society, is that too many people aren't students.
Got you.
They've just become mentally lazy. And one of the values to what you're doing is that you are a student, and because of all these people you talk to, you learn a lot.
Yeah.
And then there's a responsibility that goes with that for you to become a teacher.
Mm.
And the teacher you are is helping to guide people.
Yeah.
And, and then I also want to be stronger. Number one for my life is this. I want to live a life where I have a positive presence that is present when I'm not present.
That is a tongue twister, Richard.
Yeah. But the power that's in there to have a positive presence that is present when you're not present.
Love it.
I mean, you've met people that they've come into your life and you couldn't wait to forget them.
Exactly. When you see those photos of you with someone and you just cannot remember the name. Like, what is that? But you said something just now about how people
also have had people that have come into your life.
You said something just now about how people are getting mentally lazy in terms of the becoming a student side of things. Why is that? Why do you think over the course of time people have, I don't know if they're reading less or they're absorbing less, but also we're in a world where we're absorbing more? You're back.
Hey,
You're back.
Hey, welcome back, Stephen.
Welcome back. Don't know what happened there. You froze on me, and I was just talking. You weren't replying, Richard. You weren't replying. I don't know if you heard my question, so I'll just repeat it. But why is it, do you think, that over the course of the recent years, people are, like you said, getting into that stage where they're not being the consistent student. They're almost getting to the stage where they accomplish something and then that's it, right? They don't feel like they need to read. They don't feel like they need to absorb information, because we're also living in a world, to contrast that, where I would strongly argue that there's never been a point in the time where information hasn't been more easily accessible, right?
Right.
You can Google anything and you're going to get an answer.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, because we don't need to keep stacks of stuff around our life that's information, because I can go on the internet and find anything that I want.
Yeah, this will give you this device will show you anything that you want in life.
Yeah, and it's also a frightening device.
Yeah.
So, but even though information is at our fingertips, there are a lot of people who have just become mentally lazy. Mm-hmm. And the challenge with being able to Google anything is that you and I don't have to think.
Yeah, it's really dangerous to get into that pattern as well, where you just, rather than trying to work it out, you just go, I'll just Google the answer, or I'll ask Alexa.
Yeah. Well, one of my thoughts in life is that most people don't think they think they think.
Mm,
And when you and I stop thinking, we become sheep.
yeah.
And this is part of what I see happening in our world today because people don't think. They don't have that foundation of belief, trust, and faith in their self.
Hmm.
So anybody that has a sense of knowing how to manipulate people can create a herd of sheep.
Yeah.
We've seen this throughout history. I mean, we've seen people who know how to manipulate the emotions of people. And you don't manipulate the mind, you manipulate the emotions.
Hmm.
And if I can emotionally attach myself to you, where I can make you doubt your life, worry about what's going on, feel uncertain about everything,
Yeah.
and I walk in and I know how to use those three to create one element in your life: fear. Fear. Then
Fear
I
is the breeding ground of not good.
Yeah. Well, Stephen, from the day you were born to the day you die, and it's the same thing with me and everybody listening,
Hmm.
you're going to fight 6 fears. You're going to fight the fear of the unknown, which is probably one of the largest ones today.
Yeah.
The fear of abandonment, the fear of failure, which is huge, the fear of rejection, which I see as astronomical today, the fear of loss, and the fear of success. And
Mm,
one of those
interesting.
6 fears is your number one fear. And
Yeah.
when I mentor people, first thing I have to do is, what is your number one fear? Figure that out. Because if I can find their number one fear and we can teach a control of that fear, the other 5 can't get to me.
Sure.
But if you never find your number one fear, the rest of them overwhelm you. And we're being manipulated today by fear. And the biggest proponent of this, and this is me talking, is the news media.
Hmm.
The news media is simply about creating sheep, and they do that through fear. And the more I can bring fear to your life, the more emotionally I can own you.
Yeah. When you talk about getting control of one of those 6 big fears, how when you start working with someone, how do they start untapping that? Because I'm sure they're in that mental frame where they're probably a little bit fearful to even go down that road, to even start thinking about what they're really fearful of. And obviously you want to get to the stage where you're tapping the highest fear, not the thing they think they're fearful of.
I do it, Stephen, because of my first session with any person, whether we're doing it in person or we're doing it over the internet. My first session is to do a history on them.
Hmm.
And I can take them back and I can walk them through their life and I can find the fear. Because there is no fear in today. Fear is a part of yesterday we drag into today.
Yeah.
And the thing that releases you from fear is lessons. If
Hmm.
I can learn what that event in my life, if I can turn that around and see how it helped me. For instance, my biggest fear for years was the fear of abandonment and fear of rejection. When I was 16, my adopted parents gave me a suitcase and told me it was nice knowing me. My
Wow.
adopted dad left me on a street corner and drove off. And for years, Stephen, for years, I struggled with I'm not lovable, the fear of
Yeah.
rejection. I didn't want to get close to anybody because if I got close to them, they would leave me.
Totally understandable as well.
Yeah. So I had to go back and I had to reconnect that and find the place to realize it wasn't me. I
Mm.
went back to confront my mom and dad when I was a sophomore in college. And my mother took one look at me and walked out the back door, got in her car, and drove off. And Stephen, she freed me. I had to go back and understand that because I was living my life to prove she was wrong. She
Yeah.
told me every day I was stupid, I'd never do anything in my life, and that she was sorry they ever adopted me. And what do you think that does to a child? That
Mm.
that creates a foundation. So I lived, doubting what people told me, worrying about what people were doing, and feeling uncertain about everything until I realized as long as I give someone else control of my life, I have no life, I have an existence.
Yeah.
And
It's,
I'll
it's
tell
it's
you,
like that saying, we're not responsible for other people's happiness.
yeah, if you got to know me, you'd find that I'm probably one of the most self-confident people you've ever met in your life. I throw parties and I'm the only one I invite. And God, we throw great parties.
It's a good thing we've had a lockdown then, because you're still throwing parties.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But
I love it.
Life is for living, not for existing.
Yeah. How do you, because you're so passionate about this, and you are an expert in this, and I can see that through and through. Do you ever get frustrated when you see, you've obviously got your students and you've got people that follow you, but then when you're looking into the normal world, let's call it, because it is sadly in a normal state, the normal world, do you get that frustration because you go, look, there's so many people out there living life in fear. They're still waiting for that moment that you had in sophomore year when you went back and it was like you made that choice going, actually, you know what, I'm free now.
Yeah. Stephen, you're talking about probably one of the biggest frustrations, concerns in my life. When I started this, I thought I was here to change the world.
Yeah.
And man, I can remember I was so excited that first time I walked out on that stage and I looked at that audience of about 800-900 people. And I thought, these people are here because they want me to help them change their life.
Mm-hmm.
And only took that experience to realize most people are looking for someone to tell them it's okay, not to challenge them. And I get asked every day of my life, how many people do you think ever use anything you teach? 2%. And one of the hardest things that I've had to adjust to in life is to understand that all I can do is every day look for the 2%.
Mm.
The people who really are willing to improve their life. I don't know you, but I would think that your life has been a journey where you've had to walk through some of your own jungles.
Yeah.
And you've learned how to cut your way through. And I used to come off the road and I'd go home and I'd think, man, if those people would just listen.
Yeah.
But I can't control that.
No.
So what I've had to do is understand all I want to affect are the 2%. And these are the people that come to me, not they come because people come to information because they're curious.
Mm.
And that curiosity either creates a moment of excitement or a journey of enthusiasm.
Yeah. I've got a saying where I say there's 3 stages of coaching or change, and it's curiosity, awareness, and change. And most people try and buy the change. So they go to a seminar, and like you said, they expect to go there and they expect to sort of be told how to live their life. And then that's it. But actually, you have to go through the curiosity stage first. You have to become aware. And then only after those 2 stages, you actually can create change. One of my mentors wrote a book all about values. And I remember him telling me this story about how one of the early readers of the book wrote into him, said, hey, this book didn't tell me what my values are, so I want my money back. And it's kind of like how it's so interesting for me on that sense. Like, that person brought the book, but still wasn't open enough or in that frame of mind to allow himself to really discover what his values were. He was still in that position where he thought, I'm paying this money, so this book is going to tell me what the values are. You must get that all the time. When you walk into these seminars, people are just expecting to be like, right, Richard Flint's on stage, he's going to change my life.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, they've got to come up to you and they have to change their life.
Yeah, people ask all the time, are you a motivational speaker?
Yeah.
No, I'm an educational entertainer. And I'm here to entertain you with knowledge. But what you're talking about with change is so critical.
Mm.
I spent a year doing a tremendous amount of research on change and improvement. And the number one reason people fight change is because it challenges their comfortable routine.
Yeah.
And people can become comfortable in their circle of sameness, yet talk about wanting to get out. Here's what I want to do with my life. Man, here's where I'm going. And I ask them, how are you going to get there?
Mm. It's like this. It's like when people say, if I win the lottery, I would do this.
Yeah, I love that.
So, well, why aren't you doing it already?
Yeah. My favorite is, well, this is what I'm going to do when my ship comes in. I tell them, you don't even live on the water. How in the world would you know if it docked?
Your ship is dry docked. It's not going anywhere.
And Stephen, here's the critical point. There's a difference between excitement and enthusiasm. Excitement in its own way is negative if it doesn't have guidance to it. Because excitement is based in a moment. That moment is based in a possibility.
Yeah.
And so I gather this possibility and I'm really excited about it, but it doesn't happen on my timetable. Or the person who brought me the excitement walked away. But if I can take that excitement and turn it into enthusiasm, enthusiasm is the result of seeing the opportunity that's in front of you. Opportunities, what does it do? It takes the moment of change and turns it into a journey of improvement. Change and improvement are actually the same word. It's just how they enter your life. Change comes in through your emotions. Improvement comes in through your mind. Your mind wants to grow. It wants to develop. But you got to live from your mind down, not your emotions up. And you asked me a while ago, how do you affect people? You switch the lifestyle. We're no longer going to live from our emotions up. We're not going to take our emotions away, but we're going to learn to control them. How? By putting this process into our head that I want every day to be better, to be smarter, to be stronger. And with that, I'm going to feed my desire, my determination, and I'm going to build a foundation of discipline where I can hold my feet to the fire.
For sure. What's the first step then? So if someone's if someone's in that negative space, the self-sabotaging space that they can be in, is it best for them to focus on themselves first? Is it best for them to change their environment, change their circle of friends so that it sort of stops absorbing that negativity? What would you say would be the first step?
First step, Stephen, is look at your environment. Is this environment holding me hostage? I tell people all the time, you're either a hostage to your yesterday or a pioneer for your future. And hostage is there. And anyone, Stephen, anyone who lives with that foundation of doubt, worry, and uncertainty is a hostage because they're sheep. I got to start with my environment. And one of the hardest things to do sometimes is to step out of an environment that's holding you hostage.
Exactly.
But you've got to want something better for your life. And Stephen, anything you and I want for our life has a price tag to it. And if we're not willing to pay the price, then we're stuck.
Yeah, it's the classic cause and effect. If you want something else needs to also happen. I guess in terms of the environment subject there, the last couple of months, people have been in lockdown. They've been forced into the environment or to stay in environments perhaps that aren't as beneficial. I'm really curious to know sort of how your prediction is moving forward when people are starting to leave the environment that they've got used to. Do you think this is actually going to allow people to rethink in terms of what they want in their life?
Well, I think this lockdown has been a curse and a blessing. Okay. It's been a blessing because it sort of helped to stop the spread of the virus in that way.
Of course.
But it's also given people time to think. I think on the other side, when we get clear of this, I think the divorce rate's going to go up.
Yeah.
I think the birth rate's going to go up.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to find people coming out of this sheltered existence with a new sense of life.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's given a lot of people time to pause, time to think that they perhaps never have had before because, society sort of is driven into us that we have to go to school, then we go to high school, then we go to college, university, and then we get a safe job, and then we carry on working, we work our way up, we then retire, and then we can start living our life, right?
Yeah. And, have you seen this as I have seen it? I find I do a question and answer time every Friday. And I have found that our numbers have just grown of people who are reaching out. We
Hmm.
do a free webinar every month, and our numbers have just skyrocketed with people who are coming because right now, this pandemic has created a real sense of what do I do with the uncontrollable, the unpredictable, the unknown?
Yeah,
How do I function in this? And like what you said, people are thinking at a level that most times they've never thought before.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
you're going to see a lot of people who come out who don't go back to the jobs that they had.
Oh, massive. I keep saying, I keep saying to other people that after, I keep saying after all this, but it's almost already happening now where people are realizing that they don't want to go back to their job. They don't want to commute. They don't want to sit in an office for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. They really have started to discover more of, again, what one of those three pillars, isn't it? It's like the happiness side of things. They've started to discover what makes them happy.
Yeah. And happiness is about freedom.
Mm,
I mean, it's the freedom to be you.
yeah.
And you have no idea how many emails. I mean, my emails have just blown out of proportion. People just asking me some pretty in-depth questions about the future for their life
Yeah.
and what they're looking for in the future and how do they find that pathway forward. And the first thing you got to do is you've got to calm yourself and look at the pace of your life. Most people, they run, they don't walk in their life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you ever had a day that you were so busy at the end of the day you couldn't figure out what you had achieved?
Oh, that was my whole week last week.
And
Last week, I just thought, wow, I blinked and it happened.
yeah, and there's frustration in that.
Of course.
There's mental and emotional exhaustion in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how most people live their life, fast and furious.
Mm,
And
yeah.
because they've been locked down now, it's not fast and furious. It's walk and question.
Yeah. So it's almost, I guess it's almost the tortoise and the hare, isn't it?
Yes.
Most people live their life the hare, but they've been forced to be the tortoise for a little bit.
And do you think if you've been the hare, it becomes uncomfortable being the tortoise?
Oh, massively. Massively. I can only imagine about how many people have, you mentioned about obviously there's been great things about the lockdown, not so great things. And I'm sure there must be lots and lots of people that have really suffered because they haven't been able to live at 101 miles an hour.
Well, you and I both know this. You can only keep the human spirit locked down so long.
Yeah.
And then I don't care what kind of parameters you put on them. People are going to break out of the cage because the human spirit is about movement.
Yeah.
Not about just sitting around. And these people that are driven, and a person that is a driven spirit, an entrepreneurial spirit, a person who wants to achieve, wants to grow, this is the worst time in the world for them. They think. But I'll tell you something about me. I've been more creative during this time than I've been probably in the past 5 years of my life.
Yeah, agreed. It's opened some new opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
Which has been great. So moving forward then, Richard, what's your plan? What's your, you mentioned that when you first started this, you wanted to change the world, and then you kind of realized, actually, I just want to change the 2%. So have you changed how you're going to work moving forward after, the past couple of months have happened?
Yeah. One of the things that I see, and I was talking to my staff, my staff and I had a Zoom call yesterday and talk about the fact that I think the world, because a big part of my world has been speaking at conventions all over the world. And I don't see that coming back until maybe the second quarter of 2021. I think there'll be a limited basis. I have people that are talking to me right now, but it's doing more through the internet. We're putting together right now a learning center that we're going to offer to people, where we're going to offer courses and where they can continue to learn. But so much of what we're going to do in the future is going to be through this medium.
Yeah, it has to be. People expect it as well now.
Yeah. I mean, and we can do things on through technology today that, years ago we could not even fathom that we'd be able to do.
I know and it's just going to get better. I think the technology aspect side of things is going to be really interesting because products and services are going to be developed because more and more people are working from home, more and more people are using their computer, people are interacting in the world in a slightly different way than they were this time last year. So I think there's going to be some interesting products coming out to the market that are going to help, the seminars of the world still be able to be 200,000 filled arenas, but in a different sort of manner.
Well, I've had companies reaching out to me who have asked me, our convention is going to be virtual. So would you speak at a virtual convention? Yes. Would you do some record for us some hour-long breakout sessions that we can offer our people? Yes, I've got one company that I'm doing 9 different 1-hour sessions for.
Amazing.
That I'm recording for them. But we've even closed our visual office, and my staff is now operating from home.
Yeah, why not? They can.
Yeah, with this, I'm only a click away from being able to talk to them.
Yeah, it's made people more reachable. I think people are going to crave that, like you said, crave that human interaction, crave the social side of things. But again, I think that's going to, on a business level, it's going to open up a huge opportunity for business hubs to be created where staff can get together. They don't have to have an office, but once a week they have a room or a center which they meet. They have their meetings, or they have a Friday beer together, whatever it is, to still have that human interaction coupled with the working from home. If we talk about opportunities in the next couple of years, commercial property investment is going to be huge, which is interesting. As a speaker, what you just mentioned there about having the virtual sessions, the breakout sessions, how do you feel about being on that side of the screen? Because obviously when you're on stage, you can really feel the audience. You can sense applause, you can sense sadness, happiness, all these other avenues. But obviously through a camera and a screen, a lot of that is shut down. So how do you, as a speaker, do you feel that you're going to adapt to that?
Well, what I have found is a presentation is about 2 things: information and presence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can create energy through this media. And, you used the word a few seconds ago, and it's true about me. I am so passionate about what I do. And I know that if people will pay attention to what I'm trying to help them understand, I can make a difference in their life.
Yeah.
And I think that through this medium, it doesn't take away my presence, because we create presence through energy.
Mm-hmm.
We create presence through the belief in our information. We create presence. I mean, I can look at the screen and I can visualize people on the other side.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to visualize seeing people out there.
100%.
Yeah. And if you can see that, and if you're passionate about your message and you've done your research of content, so that you're just not delivering a message, you're seeking to make a difference in people's lives. And that's what I'm about. I'm about processes that can make a difference in people's lives if they want the difference.
100%. I suppose this brings me perfectly onto one of my final questions for you, Richard. That you have a few things that you want to be able to offer out to people here today.
Yes, I do. I'd like to just say 3 things. If you'd like to know more about me, go to my website. It's real simple, richardflint.com. It's just richardflint, FLINT.com. And then the second thing is October 1 through 4. One of the things I'm doing is a series of small group retreats limited to 15 people. And what I'm doing, Stephen, is I'm taking what I see as the major issues that people struggle with, suffer from. And October 1 through 4 in Florida, we're doing a small group retreat on decluttering your clutter. I have found in my years of working Clutter is the #1 illness to a success journey. And if you don't solve and work with this clutter, it can kill you mentally, emotionally, and it can sabotage your success journey. And on the website, there's information, there's a video there that I did about clutter. It is a fatal illness to success if you don't deal with it. And then also, if you would go to richardflint.e-junkie.com, richardflint.e-junkie.com. What we've done is we've taken 47 of the most powerful messages I think that I've created for today's world. And they're there in MP3 form.
Amazing.
Take a look at them. And because my commitment is to one thing, I want people to be better, to be smarter, to be stronger in their life. And my gift, if God's given me one gift, it's the ability to take what looks confusing to you and show you the pathway to clarity. That's my gift.
Richard, it's been an honor having you on the show, and it's been an honor speaking to you. I think you're a man with so much knowledge and wisdom that I feel like we could probably talk for the next 4 or 5 hours and it would feel like a breeze.
Yeah, well, you're good at what you do, my friend. Very good.
Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity you've given me to be a part of your world and the people who share that platform with you.
No, I appreciate that, Richard. Thank you so much for coming on. And I do, like I said, really look forward to just seeing how you carry on doing what you do and change the 2%.
I'd love that, Stephen. I'd love that.
Thank you so much, Richard.
Great day.
Thanks everyone for watching and listening. This has been Founders 365.